What up? I ordered 7 plants from Greenspaces.id back in June. It is currently April of the following year, and so the question is, was it worth it? And the answer is, it's complicated. I've seen so many unboxing videos from Greenspaces.id, and my question was always, okay, but what happened later? Like, how did it all end up? How did it work out? Let's get down to the tea.
Here's the motherfucking tea.
And actually talk about if it was worth over $200 to order these plants from Greenspaces. I'm sure you've seen so many unboxing videos from Greenspaces. It's been all over Reddit. It's just been all over the internet in general because it's a chance to get some really rare, beautiful houseplants for what appears on the surface to be way less money. So is it actually worth it to order a plant that has to, for most of us, travel halfway around the world to reach us, that we then have to root and somehow like let it survive over the course of that time? I don't know. So I placed my Greenspaces.id order on the 9th of June 2020. It actually shipped on June 26th and I received it on July 2nd. So I actually think, all things considered, the shipping was pretty quick. However, we encountered some issues during the shipping. Say a third of them looked good, a third of them were like dead or dying, and a third of them were like doing okay, like maybe I could revive them. So I spent $246 on this order. I had to pay the $25 for the phytosanitary certificate. I think this is a non-negotiable. The Syngonium Pink Splash, it looks like, was the most expensive purchase on this list.
So as I'm editing this, I'm noticing that the pricing has gone up. So the Syngonium Pink Splash that I bought was $35. I'm seeing it on the website now for $45. The Bird's Nest Fern I bought was $15. And now it's on there for $50. So
next were a few that were $30 each. The Piper Ortanum, the Trade's Cantia Nounok, which is just above my head here, so that one worked out. The Raphidophora Spp. Even after Googling, I still have no idea what this plant is actually called. The rest of them were each under $20. I think they did a good job wrapping it. Again, you've seen so many unboxing videos, so we don't need to talk a whole lot about how they wrapped it in all of this like wet paper and blah, blah, blah. One thing that I was a little bit surprised about is that in all of the unboxing videos I watched, the plants were like perfect looking, but that was really not the case for me. Out of those 7 plants that I ordered, I have 4 survived. So what happened? Why did some die? And did I learn anything from my experience that maybe you could take and do differently? I think I did a good job taking care of these plants. Some of them I completely brought back to life after they had been dead pretty much. I made sure that they all had bright but not direct light. And the biggest thing I noticed was from the ones that survived, I don't know if they were just really like emotionally scarred from the journey, but most of them took a super, super long time to put out another leaf. I kind of was like, are you still alive? Are you not still alive? So this is the one they called a Trades or Tradius Cantia Nounok. It is a pink wandering dude plant, and I had to actually propagate this one. It was already kind of starting to die and wilt, so I just clipped that off, put it in water so that it could propagate that way. The nice thing about this plant is that the roots come out like super quick, and it is a fast growing plant usually. So it's just been sitting here above my head basically ever since I propagated it. It gets a lot of really nice light in here. I don't know why it's so leggy. I don't know what more he wants. The weirdest thing about this plant is it did not start to actually grow beyond right here until December, 5 months after I planted it in soil. So I do think it was just spending its time building a root system before it continued to grow. And then once it did, it just has been really, really leggy ever since. I'm not blaming Greenspaces for that, but it's just really interesting to me that this plant took so long to grow, but some of them still haven't grown since I planted them. Now let's talk about the most expensive one, the Syngonium Pink Splash. I'm really happy to say that this one survived because this is pretty much what inspired me to make the purchase. One thing I think is a little bit weird about it is that in the pictures, it is a really, really pink plant. Mine is not that pink, and I know that sometimes variegation will not be as bright when it doesn't get enough sunlight, but it has bright unfiltered light all day long, and it still doesn't really have the variegation. It ended up losing all of its leaves a few weeks after I planted it. They were just completely dry. They did not handle the shipping well, and it lost every single one and it kind of had to start over. However, when that happened, I did see a new leaf coming out, like a new shoot from the base. And so I didn't lose faith because I knew it was gonna put a new one out. So all things considered, I'm pretty happy with this one. Next, let's talk about the Sirih Wullung and the Piper Ortanum. These plants both arrived with the leaves just falling off, completely wilted. One of them had like one leaf still attached. The other one was basically just a stem and all of the leaves had fallen off. Neither of these plants made it. I really tried to revive them and bring them back, but they just did not make it. They did not survive the shipping. And then when I Googled them later, I came to realize that these plants really want like a very tropical, moist environment. I know that goes for most houseplants, but some, like Apothos, can still thrive in my dry Reno environment, and others just can't. Maybe those two were never gonna make it. It was really disappointing because they were so cute and I really liked them. So that was $47 worth of plants that just arrived dead. So almost $50 just completely out the window right away. The other one that died was the variegated bird's nest. So this was one of the plants that when it arrived, it had like weird brown spots all over it. So I really didn't know if it had some kind of disease. I assume in order to get the phytosanitary certificate, it has to pass the disease test. I don't know. When I got it, it just wasn't doing well. It just never ended up looking good. I did plant it, I did nurture it for a few months, but it just dried up and died off one fern at a time. I will tell you, I've never had luck with ferns though, so that could be user error, and again, I live in a dry ass place, so it's just possible that that was never gonna work out. I'm sad though, because that one was a really cool looking variegated plant. I haven't seen it really that many other places. Next, the Raphidophora Spp. So this guy was another one, he's putting out another leaf here, so I'm excited that he eventually was happy and started putting leaves out. What is weird to me is that when it arrived, it had these two leaves that have the fenestrations, right? But none of the leaves since then have had it, so I don't know what's up. Maybe this one will. This is one where I don't know what the real name is and I can't figure it out, so when I Google it to try to figure out what the other ones out there look like or if it should end up having some solid leaves like this, I can't actually find any information. I genuinely don't know why it doesn't have the fenestrations in these leaves. I still like it. I'm glad that I got it. I have no idea if it was a good value or not because again, I have no idea what it is called, not on Greenspaces.id website. This is another one that took months before it put out any leaves. I think it took 4 months before this one actually unfurled any leaves. So I was just like, are you okay? Are you ever gonna like grow? It stayed alive, so I don't throw away a plant if it's still alive. It's not that exciting without the fenestrations, but it's not your fault. I still love you. Okay, now the Aglaonema Snow White. I just threw this one in there because it was only $12, and this is a really good example of one where it's looked like this ever since I got it. And we're going on almost 10 months now. And it's just a little weird to me that this leaf just doesn't want to open. Like, it doesn't seem to matter what I do. I fertilize it, I water it consistently like I think it wants. I put it with other plants so that it has more humidity, and nothing ever really seems to happen with this guy. When this leaf finally does unfurl, it's gonna be like a cause for celebration because I don't really know what you want. You can't tell me, which is the hardest part of being a plant mom. So I guess all things considered, I had more plants survive than not survive since I ordered 7 and I currently have 4 that are alive. But mathematically, I don't know if it really works out because if you consider how much the ones that died cost, we've got about $65 worth of plants that just didn't make it. So let's see, it was $246 now divided by 4 plants equals $61.50 per plant. I just feel like that's actually really expensive at the end of it. Let me see if I can even find a Syngonium pink splash. It's really interesting because I'm finding one on Etsy that is $70, one that is $39 was $53, another one that's $150 Shipping cost is $75. When you consider that most of the Syngonium pink splashes that I'm finding are over $100 and I only paid $35 for the one from Greenspaces.id, I guess you could say it was worth it. I'll be honest with you, I lurk on Greenspaces.id still all the time to see if I can find some other plants that I would want, but I do have in my mind that they're probably not all going to survive the shipping, they're probably not all going to make it, and that at the end of the day, when I add it all up, it's still gonna be expensive. So I just ordered a bunch of plants on Etsy today that are all shipping from within the US. I only paid $15 shipping all in for $160 worth of plants. Be sure to watch that video and we'll see if maybe that ends up being a better value. Fingers crossed on my online plant buying adventures, because so far I've spent more than it's been worth. But then again, that is the plant mom journey and it's just meant to be for fun. See you guys next time.